The lore and history of the St. Lawrence Seaway is a big deal in St. Lawrence and Jefferson counties. I think it's because we gawk at these giant freighters squeezing through the channels of the St. Lawrence River, and it's like, how do they do it? In the 65 years since it was built, yes, it was built, it's not natural. In that time, there's been a workhorse doing the less storied work, rescuing ships that went aground, placing and removing the red and green buoys every year, breaking ice in the spring. We have the story behind the Robinson Bay tugboat as it moves on to its retirement job. That's today's story of the day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Claxton Hepburn Medical Center, dedicated to providing patient care and regional services to the people of St. Lawrence County. claxtonhepburn.org.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Thursday, January 2nd. First up, Attorney General Tish James says she's recusing her office from the high-profile investigation into the death of a prison inmate last month. 43-year-old Robert Brooks died on December 10th at Marcy Correctional Facility in Oneida County after corrections officers beat him. The incident was recorded by body cameras. In a video statement, James said her office represents state agencies and their employees, including corrections officers, which presents a conflict of interest.
This decision is not one that was made lightly, but we believe this is the best course of action to protect the integrity of the investigation and to ensure accountability and justice for Mr. Brooks, his family, friends, loved ones, and for all New Yorkers.
James said her office is representing 4 of the corrections officers under investigation for the Brooks death in other matters. She said Onondaga County District Attorney William Fitzpatrick has agreed to take on the case as a special prosecutor. Last week, James's office released shocking video of Brooks' beating and death that renewed calls for reforms surrounding officer violence against inmates. Governor Kathy Hochul ordered 13 of the corrections officers involved to be fired. 1 other resigned. Hochul named a new superintendent for the facility. She's also expediting $400 million to install fixed cameras and body cameras at all state prison facilities. St. Lawrence County public health officials saw fewer overdoses in 2024 compared to 2023. And now they're keeping track of the data with an online public dashboard. Catherine Wheeler reports.
In 2024, there were 66 overdoses reported in St. Lawrence County. 5 of those were fatal. Patty Hochul is a community health educator at St. Lawrence County Public Health.
We do have this problem in the area, and it's not just focused in one area. It is across the county. So pretty much every community is seeing an issue.
But numbers are way down. In 2023, there were more than double, 153 overdoses and 12 deaths. Hochul says she's hopeful overdoses are dropping because of the resources available locally.
The county now has the medicated assisted treatment clinic here in this building in Canton. And I know that they're seeing a lot of folks and doing a lot of really good things there.
Hochul says the county also has a mobile addiction clinic that connects with people in Massena and Gouverneur. According to the dashboard, the highest number of reported overdoses are in the more populated communities, like Massena and Gouverneur, and also Ogdensburg and Canton. Hochul says they've been collecting the data since 2008, but it has its limitations. It only includes overdoses where law enforcement were called.
So if someone overdoses and a friend gives them Narcan and they don't call the police or EMS, that is not reported on this map. This is just when law enforcement are called to the scene and show up.
Hochul says the availability of naloxone or Narcan is saving people's lives. That's a medication that helps to quickly reverse an opioid overdose. All New York pharmacies can dispense naloxone through a standing order, and people can get it for free through St. Lawrence County Public Health. Hochul says the county's new overdose data will help local agencies and groups to address substance use issues in the community.
And also raise awareness for those that are struggling, where they can get help. And I also hope it raises awareness that, there is hope out there. And if you just reach out to someone, you can make things better for yourself.
Hochul says the community still has a long way to go to further reduce overdoses, but there is help. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, there's a link to resources on our website, ncpr.org. Catherine Wheeler, North Country Public Radio.
St. Lawrence Seaway brings huge ocean-going freighters to the North Country's backyard on the St. Lawrence River. But most people don't know about the much smaller tugboats that guide them and clear their path of ice. Last month, one of those tugs said goodbye after a storied history. NCPR intern Zach Jaworski has that story.
It's a blustery day on the docks of the St. Lawrence Seaway's maintenance building in Massena. In front of me is the Robinson Bay, a green-hulled tugboat with a white 3-story tower lined with tall windows. The water's choppy and it's starting to rain. For decades, the shop here has been used to keep the Robinson Bay in peak condition. But today, it's the venue for a retirement ceremony, for the tugboat itself. The head of the Seaway, Administrator Adam Tindleschlitt, even came up from Washington, D.C.
If you'd all join me in a standing ovation for the men and women who have served on the Robbie Bay. Thank you, guys.
The Robbie Bay has been serving the Seaway for almost 66 years in a variety of roles, from pushing freighters that have run aground to breaking ice in the spring, which NCPR's David Summerstein reported on from the Robbie Bay's deck way back in 2001.
The captain backs into the water and then takes the tug full throttle ahead.
It's being retired because the Seaway recently added 2 new tugs to their fleet, the Seaway Trident and the Seaway Guardian. The Robbie Bay still functions well, it's just no longer needed. But the tug isn't being decommissioned. Instead, it's getting a second life as a training vessel at the Great Lakes Maritime Academy in Michigan. The Academy's superintendent, Jerry Achenbach, spoke at the ceremony in the cluttered machine shop.
I'm not kidding, this isn't going down as my favorite venue. Eye protection's required, we've got chain falls, I don't know what's in that file cabinet, but it's 480 volts. And there is a heck of a lot more flannel than suits and ties.
Achenbach says he is looking forward to the opportunities having the tug will create for the Academy.
We're incredibly grateful that he has made the decision to hand over the Robinson Bay to the Great Lakes Maritime Academy, where we'll have a second career assisting us in development of the next generation of merchant marine officers.
Achenbach says the Robbie Bay will allow every student at the Academy to get their tugboat license, which wasn't the case before.
The Robinson Bay will ensure every graduate will have the ability to earn a living wage and remain in the Great Lakes region and raise a family in the Great Lakes region.
With all the talk of the tug's next life came some reflections on its old one.
Needless to say, it's a good thing that old tugboat can't talk. Because there'd be some red faces here in the front row.
That's Danny Brabon. His pine green hat indicates that he was once the first mate of the Robbie Bay.
I had some of my most memorable moments in my life on that old girl, and some of the most terrifying.
One of his fondest memories came just days after the September 11th, 2001 attacks on the United States.
That Friday, we had to take the gate lifter to Montreal. Needless to say, things were a little tense around here.
Brabon says that when they got there, a crowd of Canadians were waiting to greet them.
The whole crowd started chanting, USA, Robbie Bay. Needless to say, when we got tied up, I had tears coming down my cheeks. That's how much respect that old tugboat had.
After the ceremony concluded, Brabon and other former crew members braved the conditions to take one final picture with the Robbie Bay, making one last memory with the tugboat that served the Seaway since the shipping lane was created in the 1950s. For North Country Public Radio, I'm Zach Jaworski in Massena.
Happy 2025. It's great to have you back, Story of the Day listener. As you may have heard, I'm searching for a new name for this show. I'm kind of sick of Story of the Day. Here are some of the names you've suggested so far. Ready? North Star, North Country Express, Local Focus, Eustachian Sensation, Borealis, Daily Surprises. That's just some of them. Keep them coming. We're going to come up with a great name. Email me with your idea for a new name for this show, david@ncpr.org. That's my email, david@ncpr.org. This is so much fun. Thanks so much for giving it some thought. Music today by Gretchen Kohler and Daniel Kelly of Potsdam. I'm David Summerstein, North Country Public Radio.